why do you want this thing to make money?
So, my main goal here is to have a business that earns enough money to accomplish a couple of different things.
At the end of the next 12 months, you're still losing money. What does that say about you?
I think the story that I tell myself is, maybe you're not cut out for this. Maybe you just didn't work hard enough. Maybe maybe you're just not cut out for this.
All right. Hey, Susan, I'm so glad you're here. I'm excited to talk with you about your business. Tell me, what is the biggest issue or problem you've got right now with this, and how can I help you?
So the biggest challenge I have is that I have yet to really set up a budget for my business. And I know why this is going on because right
Mhm.
now, the business is more of an expensive hobby, right? In that it's spending more than we're actually bringing in. Not that I'm not consistently trying, but that's where I am at the moment. So I am sure that I haven't wanted to set up a budget because I'm like, oh God, I don't want to have to really confront
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
So, and the other piece that my brain has been telling me is, oh, well, you don't really need like a budget yet since you're really just taking money from your household income to pay the credit card bill. Like, yeah, you can just track it over there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, so I have been resistant to being as serious about my business budget and tracking those numbers. Um, I'm not nearly as serious about that as I am about the personal budget, which
Yeah.
I now have like nailed down.
Yep.
So I know I can do it. I just know I haven't done it.
I love it. I appreciate your honesty about that. Let me ask a couple of questions on this. So, first off, how old's the business? When did you start it?
I officially started it about 3 years ago,
Okay.
and so in 2023. So early
Okay.
2023 is when I first, got an LLC and I established a business checking account. Um, and but the expenses have outstripped the income all 3 years. So this it's not
Yeah.
like it's like way up and down. In some years I've been made a profit, in other not years I haven't. This is still in a growth phase.
Yeah. I think it's so this is really common, right? And especially when you start something on the side, either you've got a spouse who's earning or you're earning and you start the business on the side and
Mhm.
the business doesn't like have to pay your bills. There's
Right.
no like back against the wall moment. And so because of that, the lack of pressure, this is just super common. And so let me ask this question, which is like, why do you want this thing to make money? So like if over the next
Mm.
10 years this just continues to be an expensive hobby, is that a problem for you?
Yeah, it is a problem for me. Yeah, I mean, first of all, yeah, there are lots of stories I would tell myself about that, right? But
Okay.
the main goal, but when we get, I mean, this is kind of like, why am I doing this, right?
Yeah.
So my main goal here is to have a business that earns enough money to accomplish a couple of different things.
Okay.
The one that I usually share is that I have two adult children who live in opposite ends of the country in very high cost of living cities. And both of them, one day, I would like them to own a home. I would like them to have a place that they can always go back to. Rents are not, rising rents don't become the issue.
Yeah.
So I want to help them get into their own home. So that's, the thing I usually share. The other thing I also want to do is my husband will face a mandatory retirement age in 9 years,
Okay.
and I want this business to be bringing in money so that we're not pulling down on our 401k and our other retirement savings every single month, right? I want this to be able to carry us for at least a portion of those expenses, so that it will preserve the capital um, in our retirement funds, for as long as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and uh, and the other part to that is, you know, like I said, 9 years. But at some point, I want him to have to hustle less, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if he doesn't have to work as much because he gets paid, basically gets paid based on the work that he puts in. He's not salaried. So, if he doesn't have to work as much, this is a win.
Got it. Okay. What sort of timeline comes to mind? So like the husband income supplemental thing, that's easy. 9 years, mandatory retirement.
Right.
The kid home thing. If you could wave your magic wand and you were like, I would love to be able to help them with a down payment or something else by when?
I would say 5 years.
Okay. I like this. So there's a number of threads I want to pull here, but that helps me a lot. We definitely don't want this to be an expensive hobby. We have some clear goals as to why we want this thing to make money. Love it. We're going to circle back around to this here in a minute.
Okay.
But let's talk through the resistance that you feel about like setting this up in YNAB, because it sounds like I don't want to, put words in your mouth, but it sounds like on the one hand, you're like, it's kind of just a waste of time. We're losing money right now, whatever. And on the other hand, there's also this fear of like, I don't really want to face just how much it's losing right now.
Right. Well, because I face it once a year when I put together the spreadsheet for our CPA, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's really painful. I don't want to do that every single month. Here's the thing that I know, like I know intuitively, is that by looking at it, I if it is a painful moment for me every single month or week or however, let's suppose I set this budget up in YNAB, every time I look at it, it is then a reminder as to really you need to start pulling in some more clients. Like maybe you need to do the extra things you need to do to pull in more clients, because you don't want this painful situation to continue. I also
Yeah,
know that the thing you look at is the thing that actually grows or moves or changes,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
Not looking
Yeah.
at it is definition of nothing changing, just continuing on the way
So
that it
what do you
is.
like? So here's what's so interesting about you, right? Like, you know that. Like, I know you know that. You just said it. So that actually sounds very helpful to me, right? Like if I set this up in YNAB, it's going to be painful. I'm not going to like it, and so that's going to push me to do the thing that I say is actually important to me. So why aren't you just doing that?
Yeah. Well, I have done just enough personal development work to know that there is probably a greater story going on over
Yeah.
here, right?
Yep. Yep.
So setting up my personal budget in YNAB and looking at those expenses and tracking that had to confront some stories I had inherited along the way about
Yeah.
money, what money is used for, the best way to accumulate money. And I think for me, what is actually coming out to play here is that I am trying to build this business. I had zero idea how challenging this was going to be. Like, it's not just hanging up a shingle and like the
No.
clients will come, right? I mean, I know
Nope.
you know that. So there's been a lot of other work going on here. And I think some of it's just been confronting work, right? So, and
Yeah.
I think there's also another part of me that feels like if I actually put this into YNAB, now this becomes real. And somehow this is just going to validate what my parents think about um, me trying to build an online business. I don't actually know what they think, to be honest. I have not asked
Yeah.
them. It's not a conversation I regularly have with them. But so there's clearly some feeling of,
Yeah.
if you put it into YNAB and, 6 months later or a year later, when it's still not making money, that somehow that's a reflection on me. Like that, there's a story there that it says about me.
Yeah.
So it's just been easier for me to just kind of like push this over here and only visit it once a year when I
So
actually have to.
I'm real interested in this. Let's play with this for a second.
Okay.
What is the story that it says about you? So let's play that out. Let's say you and I put this in YNAB. We
Yeah.
set it all up.
Yeah.
You start looking at this thing. You try to start growing the business. And at the end of the next 12 months, you're still losing money. What does that say about you?
Okay. Well, what it says about me, I think the story that I tell myself is, maybe you're not cut out for this. Maybe you just didn't work hard enough. Maybe you, like maybe you're just not cut out for this. I mean, I think that's probably the most the most prevailing story, right? Because then I would need to confront with, like, well, if you're not cut out for this, then what are you going to do with your time? Like, are you going to go back? Are you going to get a regular W-2 job, which I really don't want to do? um but here's the other thing is, I also don't want to look at that and be like, well, I guess this isn't for me. I guess I'm just going to give up and just,
Yep.
go and find a pickleball league and some, book clubs. Like, I don't want to do that either. Right. So I totally get, this is all about, like, the story that I'm telling myself about, like, what it takes to build an online business, and whether or not I have what it takes. Like, I can rationally tell myself that I do, but until you truly believe it, like, in your body, it's hard. Your brain is never going to be able to overcome that. So
So this is good. Let's because I do think you know, I know, we like, I know that you know how to set up your business in YNAB. And so it's like, that's not
yes,
the issue,
that's not the
right?
issue. Correct. Because I was able to set up the budget
Eh,
for our Airbnb property and for my personal budget. Like, I've
yeah,
managed to figure that out.
yeah,
Right. So it's not a lack of
yep,
knowledge. It's not a knowledge gap here that's going on.
that's right. That's right. And so here's what I want to point out, right? So if Susan focuses on the business and it doesn't work 12 months from now, then maybe she's just not cut out for this. Maybe she doesn't have what it takes. So that's the articulation that you've said.
Yeah.
Now, I love this. So there's a mindset book. My favorite mindset book is one written by Michael Hyatt and his daughter Megan Hyatt Miller. It's called Mind Your Mindset. And in this book, they have a 3-step process for working through these types of beliefs. The first is you identify the belief, right? That's
Right.
what we've been working on. And so I've been trying to figure out, what does Susan believe? Susan believes that if she doesn't get the business, if she focuses on it and she doesn't get it going, then maybe she's just not cut out for this. So you know what? Maybe if I just don't focus on it, then I can't fail, because if I just don't try, I can't fail, right?
Yep.
That's the belief. Great.
That's the
So
belief. Right.
then
Exactly.
the
Because
second thing that,
focusing on it means I'm trying, like, I'm actually
yeah,
paying attention to this.
yes,
And
yes,
yeah, and if I'm paying attention and I'm still failing, oh well, like, then
then
that's a real problem, because it's a lot easier to be like, well, I didn't pay attention to it,
yeah,
so
yes.
maybe that's what happened. Yeah.
Yes. This is where I want to go, though, because this is the second step that they lay out in the book then. Okay. So they call it interrogate, which is, big long word that basically just means question the
Mm.
belief. Okay. So this is what I want to do with you for a second. Now, they ask 2 questions that I really like in this book. They ask how, or they say it this way: is this true? Or how do I know it's true? And then, is this helpful? Okay. So let's talk about this for a second, because implicitly in this belief, you use the word, you said it, failure. So let's come down here. Let's define failure for a second as it relates to this online business. So I want you to imagine that you and I are sitting at the table and you pull out the big Merriam-Webster Susan dictionary. Okay? And this is the dictionary of Susan, and we flip to the word online business failure in this dictionary, and it's got some sort of definition here that says online business failure. What is that? And right now, your definition says, if I try and I'm still losing money after 12 months, I have failed.
Yes, that's pretty much what it says. Agreed.
My question is that true?
Okay, logically, I know it is not true. There are lots of businesses that don't make money. Well, there are lots of businesses that don't consistently make money, right? They've got ups and
Yep.
downs. Um, so yes, I recognize that it is not true, because for it to be true, it would have to be like universally true. Like it would have to be
Yeah,
true for everybody, and it's not
that's
true
right.
for everybody. So therefore, it's not really true.
That's right. If I can come up with examples that break this, right? Can I find examples of businesses that try and don't make money for 12 months and are still later successful? Yes, I can come up with lots of examples.
Yes, correct.
And so that can't be the definition.
Right.
Okay. So let's go to the third step because now we're starting to break this down. We've identified the belief. We're breaking down that this belief is not true.
Yeah.
Now, it still feels true to you. And so we got to figure this out. And so what we're going to do is this third step here is we're going to say, okay, well, we need to replace, and I like this language a lot that they say in the book, replace this limiting lie with a liberating truth. Okay. So we got to figure out how to replace this. All right.
Right.
Now, I've got some ideas here, but I don't want to put my own definitions on you just yet. I want to try and pull something out of you here. Is there a cutoff point where you would say, okay, yeah, that actually is true? Meaning, if I change this from 12 months to 18 months, would you say that's true?
Um, I don't. I guess there. I'm wondering if maybe the amount of time is not the defining factor of this.
I agree with you.
I think mostly because I've been building this for 3 years, and I can look back and be like, oh my gosh, I am much further along, right,
Yeah.
than I was 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago, right? So if by using the time, it's basically saying you have to compress all of the learning you need to learn into this preset defined time frame, and after that, well, then all the learning was for naught.
That's
And
right.
it's not, you're not going to be able to take your learning and build, make something successful. um so, I mean, the other definition of failure, this one is true for me in this particular instance, but the other definition of failure I've heard is like you only fail when you like stop taking action. That's not
Hmm.
exactly it, right? But it's when you basically give up. So as long as you are still working towards what that goal is, you aren't actually failing.
What don't you like about that one?
I think the part that I don't like about this is the fact that it is costing us money. Like this would be one thing if I was just silently toiling without any expenses, which you and I both know is not the way you grow a business, right? So if I
Right.
was just silently toiling along, then I could be like, well, I'll just keep on going. I'll just keep on doing
Yep.
the doing, and eventually something will change. But I also know that that's not actually how this works. Like you need to pay for internet. You need to pay for online tools. You
You
sometimes
need
need to
to,
pay for access to
yeah,
things.
you need
Um,
to educate yourself and increase your skill set. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, your skill set. Sometimes access to coaching, access to AI tools, right? So it's not realistic to say, well, this is going to cost me zero. I'm just going to keep toiling along, and it's going to cost me zero. So that's what
Yep.
I think is really underpinning this, is that there's actually a cost every month when I'm not pulling when I'm not converting, when I'm not attracting leads and not converting them into clients.
I think this is really good. So let me make a comparison that will drive this point home. And then I'm going to ask you a question because I think this will help maybe anchor you a
Okay.
little bit on this. So, um, the overwhelming majority of people understand that it can make sense to go to college and pay to get educated for a degree that then allows you to have a job that then makes money down the road. This is
Right.
why people go to college. They
Yes.
pay, they invest to get educated, and then potentially, hopefully, that education pays off. Now, over the last 25 plus years, college has gotten more and more expensive, wages have compressed in certain careers, and now it's causing more and more people to rethink which particular degree they get and if that degree is worth the investment.
Right.
Now, if college doubled in price over the next decade, it would cause even more people to think about that question.
Right.
And so, in the same way, you're currently making an investment into your business, and the hope is that that investment gives you some sort of return in the future. And so, we need to define a couple of things. But the first one is I want to define the expenses. So I don't want you to think about the last 3 years of expenses, although we might talk about that in a second. I don't want you to think about them for a second. I want you to think going forward. So as of mid 2026, how much more are you willing to invest before you turn a profit? So like, let's start high and work down. Would you spend $1 million on this business?
No.
Right. Okay. What about 500,000?
No.
200,000?
No.
100,000?
No.
Okay. 80?
I, like in my head, I think, and we're not talking about investing in a year. We're talking about investing
No, no,
until
no.
it's profitable.
Until it's profitable.
Okay. All right. Well, part of this is being colored by the fact of I know how much I'm currently spending. So I, I've never thought about it this way. I think this number is somewhere between 60 and $80,000.
Okay, great. So how much are you spending right now per month?
Roughly between 1,400 and 2,000.
Okay. So let's just go with 1,800 a month.
1,800, yeah.
And then what are you earning right now in terms of revenue?
Um, Again, something else I don't look at. I think we can safely say it's less than $100 a month.
Okay. And so that means we are currently losing 1,700 a month.
Correct.
And 1,700 a month is going to be $20,400 a year. And so if you're willing to spend another 60 to 80 grand, that means your timeline is 3 to 4 years. And that would be like you don't earn any more. Like you don't increase the revenue. You keep losing 1,700 a month and you keep losing 1,700 a month for 3 to 4 years. And 4 years from now, you will have spent another 60 to 80K and you're not yet profitable. And so for you, that might mean, and I hate using the word failed because even then, like I still think about it differently, but that would mean you fall short of your goal. Let's say it that way.
Fall short of your goal. I like that. Okay. Yes.
And so this helps me create some like guardrails around what we're trying to go for here. Now, we would love to beat that. We would love to get you profitable this year, right?
Correct.
But like,
yes. Yeah.
But like this helps us anchor towards a real idea of what falling short of your goal is rather than this arbitrary if I try and I don't get this going in 12 months, then I'm a total failure and my parents think I'm a loser and everyone hates me and like that's because that's what it feels like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Does this feel more true to your goals? In terms of the down.
It's far more specific. Like I said,
Yeah.
I've never really thought of it this way. I've not actually put numbers to what am I spending, what am I bringing in, and therefore this seems like this at least seems like something I can wrap my head around.
Yeah.
As opposed to just this nebulous, like, I'm not going to look at it and I don't really know how much I'm making, and I'm just going to ignore that part of it, which A feels like stupid. Like who
Yeah.
does that? And B is the definition of unhelpful.
Well, have you heard this? So have you heard this slang term that I don't know if it's Gen Z or Gen Alphas? I don't know which ones are saying it, but I heard this from like my cousin's kid. Have you heard the phrase try hard?
I have, and I feel like a tryhard. Well, my understanding of it is a tryhard is somebody who, well, all right, no, I don't think I could define it. So, what's the
Well,
definition?
I mean, I'm not an expert on this. So maybe some Gen Z kids going to correct me in the comments, but uh, my understanding after Google, because I found this phrase just bananas insulting. And I like as I heard it being said about somebody in a negative way, like, oh yeah, so and so they're a tryhard. And
Yeah,
and I was looking this up. It's like, okay, what's the context? Where's this slang term coming from? What does this mean? And basically, the best I understand it is culturally, they're putting people on a pedestal who have natural talents and abilities. Basically, you're successful when you don't have to try that hard.
when
If
you
you can
don't have
do
to try
something
that
well,
hard.
but if you're trying really hard, then that's like loser behavior, which is bananas to me. I'm like, that's crazy. Like we're literally insulting people for trying. That's
Yeah,
insane. And so it's just like the antithesis of what I believe. And so I just couldn't stand it. But like to me, it's the opposite. If you don't try, that's failing. Like I am much you're familiar with the Teddy Roosevelt quote about the man in the arena?
well, I'm sure I've heard it. What is it? I'm sure I've heard
It's
it. I'm just not
it's
remembering
it's
it.
the best. It's the best. Basically, I'm not going to quote it for word, but basically, well, I'll just pull it up. Let me see. It's not
Okay.
the critic who counts. It is not the one who points out how the strong man stumbles. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena. And then it goes on and says the one who's like marred by dust and sweat and blood, who errs, who comes up short, who fails. And this line down here, who at best knows in the end triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place may never be among those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Interesting.
This, to me, failure is sitting in the crowd, being a critic, pointing at the people trying and
Yeah,
making fun of them.
yeah,
Being in the arena, even if I come up short, to me, this is my definition of failure versus trying. And
right.
so I want you to try. I'm thrilled if you try. Now, that being said, we do want to define the actual downside. So that's what we just did. We spent a minute going, okay, what's the like failure definition for Susan of if I spend this much money and it takes me this long, then I'm going to want to really rethink what I'm doing here because I'm coming up short of my goals at that point and I'm not liking my outcome. So now what I would like to do is I would like to define the upside. Because here's the other thing I don't think you've done well. And I think that if we do this, it will make you excited to dig into YNAB because I think that we're going to find um, that this can be achieved. We just need to define it. So we're going to
Okay.
define the upside. Here's what I mean by that. I'm going to come over here. This is my income and revenue goal setting template.
Right.
Now, when I do this normally, I will look at it in the context of an entire budget. That's why all of these have all of these other categories. For
Hmm.
our purposes today, we're going to only define this based on the specific goals that you told me. And so I'll show you how we're going to do this. Here's the question I'm about to ask you.
Okay.
How much money would you like to be able to give to your kids to help them with their housing?
Oof. Like I I'm laughing because I've actually had a chat with Claude and ChatGPT about this. Which just so you know, at one point Claude was like, I think you're being ridiculously unrealistic and perhaps you should like, temper your goals. Wasn't exactly what it said, but it came kind of close. I would love to be able Well, okay. So I gave you the public version of what I really want, of what I want to do.
Yep.
There's actually a grander version. This was the one that Claude was like, yeah, maybe that's too grand. The grander version for one of the children, which was to buy, it wasn't just give him money so he could buy his own place. It was to buy like a multi-family house, like three, where he would have one, we could find a tenant for one, and then there would be a place where me and my husband could Airbnb out or use when
Or
we're
come
there.
hang out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the like grand plan, right?
Okay.
That's going to require a whole lot more money than simply gifting him money
To
to buy
get
his
his
own
own place.
place, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if I could gift him money to buy his own, one bedroom in a condo building that he likes, I would like that amount to be, I don't know, 150, yeah, 100, 150, and then 150 to 200,000.
Okay. And then what about for the other kid? Same
For the
amount
other
or?
one, this again, I like in my head had this like really super grand plan. I think that the housing costs in her particular city are so astronomical that like seriously that would have to change. So for her, I feel like it's more like between 250 and 300
Okay.
to help her get into her own place.
And so for the sake of just fun, I'm just going to combine them and just get us in the ballpark. Because all
Sure,
we're
that's
doing
fine.
right now is like trying to figure out in the ballpark where we're going. So helping kids with down payment, and we're going to say, we'll say, 350,000 to
Yeah,
500K is like gets us in the range of where we would like to be able to be to help them out as like a cool gift that's motivating to you.
yeah.
Love it. Okay. So then what we need to do, this will set at 0, 0. And let me think about how I want to do this. If we were able to save, because you said like 5 years would be ideal.
Yeah, 5 years. Yeah.
Okay.
But
And
I've heard you say
so,
sometimes it's time or money. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you
yeah,
have to
yeah.
push the goal out. So, but
Yes.
5 is a good target.
Yeah. And so if within the next couple of years you got to a place where you were clearing 100K a year in profit, for
Right.
example, then that would give you like 3 to 4 years, and then you'd have the money, right? So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Let's say that we're going to do $8,000 a month is the goal that we want to get to, where we're saving 8K a month for this item. Does that make sense?
Right.
And so then what I'm doing is I'm saying our effective tax rate is 20%. Now, I don't know what it is for you. You can play with this number later, but 20% gets us in the ballpark. And so basically what this means is that if we want to have 8K a month, we will need 2K for taxes. So we need the business to make, or we need profit to be 10K, and then we pay 2 to taxes, which means we need a profit of 120. Are you following me so far?
Yeah. I'm following you
Great.
so far.
Now we're going to go to this tab and we're going to look at business revenue. Okay. Now, you're running a lean online business that should be very profitable. And so your profit margins should be high. Even as you grow, you'll have some more AI costs. Maybe you hire an assistant or,
Sure.
a contractor to do some different tasks for you. But there's no reason that the business that we're running here can't end up being 75 or 25% cost, 75% profit margin.
Okay.
And so what that means is that in order for you to have a profit of 10 grand a month, you need business revenue to be 13,333. Are you following me there?
I am following you. Yep.
So now that means your annual revenue needs to be 160K in order for you to take home 120.
Yep. I'm following.
Okay. Now we're going to go to the business unit economics page. Okay, now this tab, we need to come up with your core product or service and how you price it or think about it. So what I would like to hear for you, I'm going to make all these zeros and we'll kind of work through them together. I want you to tell me if you got a sales call right now from a client who set that up this afternoon and said, Susan, I'd like to hear what you do. You don't have to give us the full rundown of the pitch, but tell me, how would you package your offer? How would you sell it?
Okay, so this is like we've now moved into territory that I have been examining with a business coach for the better part of a year, right?
Okay.
So I would love to tell you I had this all nailed down. I the core of what I offer is brand messaging. Is I
Okay.
really help coaches and entrepreneurs figure out how to translate their expertise into language that their ideal audience can hear and take action on.
Okay.
So a lot of what's going on here is so a lot of it is do they have core messaging and it simply needs to
Be tweaked,
be
or is it
tweaked
like,
or reworked because it's not landing. Like they're doing a good job of explaining what they do, but they're not talking about it in a way that their audience is like, oh my gosh, that's me, right? That's one
yep,
thing. Or do they not have any brand messaging at all, right? And so that's that's one piece to figure out. Most of the people that I am working with seem to think that they have a good, clear idea as to what they're doing, but they don't but it's still not landing. They're still not getting the leads that they want in their
got it.
business. So what I have started, what I have is what I call it's called Words That Land Studio, and it's a monthly membership. And
Okay.
they come, they bring what they're working on, and I help them. Um, and I really help them recraft it, redraft it in a way that answers the question, what's in it for my audience? Too
Got it.
often, I know I'm giving you way more information, and my
It's
business
okay.
coach would be like, Susan, get to the point quicker. Um, so I think that's I'm clearly struggling with this articulating. Like I know in my head what I can offer them. I'm struggling with the same problem I help people with is how do I get what's in my head and how I can help into language that they are like, oh wait, I need that.
Got
Right.
it. So
Anyway, so I
that's
don't have
that's good.
clear, I need to clearly continue working on
Yeah,
that.
you gotta pull this thread, but
Yeah.
let's for the purposes of setting our upside here, it sounds like there's two ways to work with you. I could hire you directly for like
Yes.
one-on-one consulting. That's going to be higher. And then
Right.
I could also do your membership thing.
Yeah.
Now, what is the price point of the membership?
The price point of the membership is clearly is currently $47 a month.
Okay. And then what if I wanted to work with you one-on-one for you to do like a consulting package with me? And honestly, Susan, for the purposes of what we're doing here, you can make up a number right now, even if you've never sold one of these, because I'm going to show you where we're going. But if I wanted to do like, hey, Susan, I would like to just hire you to help me directly to put together and help me with my branding and messaging.
Yeah.
What is a package that you would charge? Are we talking about, you know, $1,500? Are we talking about $2,000, $5,000, $10,000? Like, what would you charge for a consulting package?
See, I would probably say 997. I mean, I'd have to come up with what that package looks like, but for me, based on the people that I've worked with, I would probably say 997. Now,
Okay,
again, I can hear my business coach being like, Susan, you can't be the judge of other people's pocketbooks.
sure.
But that's
But
the
that's
price
fine.
that I
We'll
would come
put it
up
there
with.
for now.
Yeah.
So here's where I'm going because you're going to play with these numbers, okay?
Yeah.
You'll see where I'm going with this. But like I want to know, okay, remember our goal is to get to 160,000 in revenue. Why?
Yeah.
Because then we can take home 120. Why? Because then we can buy our kids a house. Well, that's fun. So let's come back here. How do we get to 160K? This is where I'm going to play with these. And so
Right.
you'll notice the variables are units purchased per period. Now, a period in this case is just a month because there's 12 periods in a year. The price point is this. And so if I wanted to play with this, well, what if I sold 6 of these a month? And then what if I had 100 people in my membership? If I had 100 people and I sold 6 packages a month, that would be a total revenue of 128. So we're not quite
Right.
there yet, but we're knocking on the door. Now, I could also say, well, what if I was able to sell these for $1,500 instead of 997?
Right. Or what if
Okay,
I were to
well,
raise the membership to 97 instead of 47?
that's right. And now this is 97, and then now I only need 4 of these
Right.
packages and 75 people in the membership to get to 160K.
Right.
So in this step, you're going to play with the mix of like, when I think about this business 2 years from now, and I think
Mhm.
about the type of business I want to be running and that I'm
Mhm.
enjoying, 4 of these packages a month, is that reasonable? I mean, that's one a week. Could I actually handle that level of clients? If
Right.
that sounds like good, then great. But if that sounds like too much, maybe I need to think more about trying to grow the membership side of this,
Right.
or, vice versa. And so the point is, you want to try and come up with a mixture of these packages that feels like, if I was making 160 with this level of client service, that feels really good to me. Does that make sense?
Right.
Any
No, I get
questions on this
it.
one?
Yes, I
Okay.
absolutely understand that. Yeah.
So then we're going to take this one more step further to this tab. Now, what we just noticed is that you need to make 4 times 12. So that is 48 sales a year of this consulting package.
Yeah.
And you've got 75 people in your membership. Now, you're not necessarily making those sales every single year. So, let's say that you're adding 20 people a year to the membership and you've got 48 new sales a year. Great. So that of the consulting package, that means you need to make 68 sales per year.
Total sales, not
Total
not
sales.
yeah, total sales. Okay. 68 sales per year. Okay.
So then we have to, and I'm making these numbers up a little bit. This is where, like, once you start getting volume, you'll have these numbers. But this is where we go, okay, well, how well do you convert your leads,
Right.
right? If you convert them at 3%, then what that means is that in order for you, and this just does the math for you, in order for you to get 68 sales per year, you need 6 leads per day
Yeah.
at 3%.
At 3%. Yeah.
Now, if you close better, right, and you're like, well, I'm better than that, I can close at 5%.
Sure.
Well, now you only need 1,300 leads a year. That's 100 leads a month. That's 26 leads a week, or 3.7 a day.
Right.
I'm going to send you the spreadsheet. You can play with these numbers.
Okay.
But once you come up with, like, you're like, yeah, I feel okay about these. And really, we're just trying to get you directionally correct. But like, I play with these. Okay, 68, 3, great. I'm trying to get 6 leads a day. Cool. So then we're going to come over to this calculator on the right.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, what does Susan do to get leads? How do you get your leads?
Yes, this is a really, really great question. So I currently get my leads through it's a networking group that I'm a member of. It's a paid networking group, and
Okay.
I get a lot of my leads that way. In fact, that's actually how I built my email list from, I don't know, the 30 it was sitting at to the close to 100 it is now, right?
Okay.
So that's my primary way of doing it. The other way I generate it is by running a monthly, oh, I'm trying, running a monthly workshop.
Okay.
But a few of those leads come from social media. Most of them are also coming from the networking group where I promote it.
Got it. Let me explain how I do this for my business, and then I
Okay.
want you to come up with what this means for you and your business. What I'm trying to do between these two calculators is I'm trying to tie the leads that I need
Yep.
to actions that I actually take.
Okay.
And so for me, my primary lead generator is I make YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And so if I know that, hey, on average, I get 15 leads per YouTube video. Now, mine's a little bit different, but let's just say that was my
Right.
number. Then what that tells me is I need to be putting out 12 YouTube videos a month or
Right.
3 YouTube videos a week. And so for me, my answer, here's how all this ties together, is I need to put out 3 YouTube videos a month so that I can generate 2,200 leads, so that I can make $160,000, so that I can pay myself $120,000, so that I can help my kids buy this super cool houses for themselves, and me and my husband can come stay at them.
Right. Right.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does. I've just never
And
thought about it this way, but it does make sense. Yes.
and so it's like when you get up in the morning and you go, I need to get leads for my networking group, or in my case, when I get up in the morning and go, I need to make YouTube videos today,
Yeah.
it's because it's all tied all the way back to why I even run this business in the first place.
Sure. Yep.
And so back to for you, your networking group, is there a way to get like more? Like, do you just pay more and then you get more? Or are there actions that you do to get more leads?
I think there are actions, there are definitely actions I could take to get more leads. I mean, so they've got a school group, they've got a Facebook group. I could be way more active in the Facebook group. That's
Okay.
the first thing, because the number of members who have access to the Facebook group is a fraction of who has access to the school group. So yes, I could absolutely do that. I absolutely, well, I never envisioned that I'm going to be getting clients directly from my social media.
Hmm.
I need to be more consistent with my social media, because that's where people are going to go to check me out before they decide,
I agree.
right? So these are 100%. Again, this goes back to the same exact resistance that I
Yes.
was articulating when I was talking about not setting up the budget.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
this same resistance, right? I
Yep.
know that these are the things that I need to do. And I think it yeah, I think maybe I just need to tie it to things that are more concrete, because when I actually think about, like, what am I thinking about when I wake up in the morning, it is not, I've never had a number of like, how many leads do I need to generate today. It's
Yes.
usually some other combination of like, oh, like, what do I think I need to do today, what's in my email inbox, and like, what kind of calls do I have scheduled, right? It's a lot more nebulous, and it's not tied to a concrete number.
And so this is where I'm going to come back over here to these notes, right? So let's sort of summarize where we're at, because this is, I think this is the critical piece for you. Take home goal 120K,
Right.
revenue 160K. That means sales 68 a year. Now you're going to play with that one.
Sure.
And then leads, right? In order to get those sales, let's say it's, I don't know, we'll just put it in the 2,000 range.
Sure.
Okay. And so that means 2,000 divided by 12, right? That means 167 a month. That is, let's call it 42 leads a week.
Right.
And so then the question is actions. And so maybe it's you're going to start posting in the Facebook group X number of times a day. Maybe
Yeah.
it's you're going to go into the school group X number of times a day. But my point is your business has been stuck and you're doing things. Oh, let me check my inbox. Let me do this. What do I want? Let me tweak this. Let me work on my messaging today. Blah, blah, blah. But like, you're not doing the actions that will generate the leads, that will generate the sales, that will actually make all this work.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I this again, very
You
aware
know
of
that.
it, right?
Yeah.
But just, yeah, it is a little bit of very aware of it. But I think the other thing is I've probably just become comfortable with, like, knowing that I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily doing the doing. And I think, but I'm hopeful that tying a number to this will highlight, well, if you didn't get 42 leads this week, like what could you have been doing otherwise that might have gotten these leads,
That's
right?
exactly right. Yep. And so my point, like, let me put this down here. My point for you is like, I'm trying to make the action that you need to take on a daily basis so obvious
Right.
that it becomes like, did you or did you not post in the Facebook group today?
Yeah.
And and if not, it doesn't really matter all the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, because
Yeah.
this is the thing. And so then now here's where we're going to tie this back to the budget piece. Are you I want you to really like think about this for a second. That close your eyes, envision and play this out 5 years from now. The year's 2031, you're 5 years older, your husband's 4 years out from forced retirement, and you have not achieved the goals that we've laid out today. Are you more motivated by like avoiding that outcome because that negative outcome feels terrible to you and you're like, I really don't want to have that happen? Or are you more motivated by really dreaming and thinking about the positive outcome of like, oh, I'm so excited to write this check to my kid and be able to buy this house, and like you're really excited about achieving the positive outcome?
All right. So I think part of the challenge for me is I don't particularly want to spend a lot of my time thinking about it not working because I feel like if I'm doing that, I'm putting the wrong energy into the into the universe. Um,
Sure.
the
Okay.
problem with the problem with the flip to that is that I yes, I would like to think that I would be more motivated by, imagining this amazing outcome. Where I struggle is my brain quickly goes to, yeah, well, how are you going to do that? How's that going to happen? Like that, like you don't, there's no evidence here that that's actually in the cards, right? So these are the things that I
I
am,
get that, but that's so I get it. And also that's literally why we just did the exercise we did, because
right,
the answer to the question, how's that going to happen? The answer is you're going to
is
post in the
42
Facebook
leads a
group.
week.
That's the answer.
That's the answer. Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. I've never, like I said, never seen it that concretely before. I've absolutely had, coaches and other people be like, all right, you have to really focus on where you're getting your leads. And usually my response is, oh yeah, yeah, I really need to think about that. And then,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
So to me, what I would love to see happen is, first off, the failure that you have in your head about this thing not working in 12 months and yada, 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 like that's false. And
correct.
so
Yeah.
every time that belief starts coming up in you, we have to fight that belief with the truth, which is actually, if I'm trying and making progress over the next 12 months, even if I'm not yet profitable, I'm still making progress towards my big goal. In fact, my expectation for the game plan that Nick and I are putting together is that I'm not even really making money until 2 or 3 years from now, anyways. And so,
Right.
like,
Okay.
I'm still on track as long as I am trying and improving over the next 12 to 24 months.
Right. God, it
Now, the
feels a whole lot
second,
better than where I started this call.
way better, right? Right? Okay. Now, the second piece of this then is like, you've got to use, I hope you're going to use today's, you know, as a piggyback to like go and actually set up the stuff in YNAB so that you
Yeah.
will get clarity to it. Because, and this is why I didn't waste our time like pulling up YNAB and setting up your business budget. Like, you know how to do that. I know you know how to do that.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
I have a video that I can send you on how to do that with the business structure and all of that. And so it's like, I know you know how to do that. Where I have to get you unblocked is when you wake up tomorrow morning and you're like, I need to go post in the Facebook group today and I need to do my business wine app today. I've got to get you over the friction to
Yes.
actually doing that.
Right. Yeah. The
And
friction is the
so
point. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah,
so,
because my brain is really good at being like, "Ooh, that sounds tough. That feels hard,"
yeah,
and being like, "Oh yeah, we'll focus on something else today." Yeah, I get
yep,
that.
yep. And so this is why we spent the first part of this call really with me going like, why do you care about this? Because basically what I need to have happen is I need to have a picture of this home like stapled to your forehead and and like so top of mind for you that you are able to go, I want that more than I want the friction associated with trying to get these leads.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yes. I'm not promising that's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm one step closer than I was before I got on the call.
Okay. Okay. So to me, your next steps are like for clarity's sake, so
Yeah.
that we can actually start moving towards this and seeing it and tracking it is we've got to get the business wine app set up so that you have data that you're facing more
Right.
often than once a year when you prepare your taxes.
Yep.
Second, I'm going to send you this spreadsheet where we looked at these calculations. I would like for you to walk back through the numbers specifically around the unit economics, so like your price points and that
Yep.
kind of stuff. And then the lead generation piece, because what I want you to be able to come up with is the real number of how many leads a week we need to be targeting.
Right.
And then from that number, how many actions you're going to take either per day or per week.
Hmm.
And then here's the last piece of homework. And this is where, like, if you're really serious about this, you've got to go look at your calendar and you've got to reorient your days around making these actions non negotiable. It's got to be in your schedule and go from this time to this time. I am taking these actions, period.
Right. Yeah, this has definitely been a sticking point for me. So yes, I mean it's not the first time I've heard this,
Yeah. But
but
it's the only answer.
it's the only. Yes, this is not a multiple choice question
That's right.
with multiple
That's right.
answers. There's no D, all of the above, right? This is
And to be clear, I'm going to say this facetiously, but like to be clear, the other option is like you just keep doing this as a hobby. And like 10 years from now, it's still a hobby. You spent a ton of money. And like if you come and tell me that, I'm just going to say, are you happy with that? Is that in alignment with your vision? And if
yeah,
it is, and you're like, you know what, I changed my mind, I just like it as a hobby, then I'm going to be like, great,
fantastic. Yes, you're budgeting for it. You're spending your money on it. Continue
fine.
doing it. Yeah.
But if it's not in alignment with your vision and that feels like, oh, then this is what we got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, yes. Like I said, this is not new information, but I've also heard that people have to hear things like sometimes 17 times before they actually start doing something different. So,
One of my favorite phrases. I got this from Alex Hermosi. He says, "We need to be reminded more than taught," and I think that that is very true
reminded more
for
than taught.
many of us.
Interesting. Yes. Well, that actually makes so much sense because the information is out there, right? You don't have to do a super deep search
Totally.
on the internet to find some of this information, right? But information alone isn't going to make you do anything, right? You
Nope.
actually have to start implementing it, and the reminding is how you eventually get to implementing, right? When you hear it
100%.
often enough and you finally decide this is important enough, that's when the change starts to take place.
Cool.
Thank
Well,
you,
thanks
Nick.
for doing this, Susan.
As always, it's been a pleasure.